Are big tech companies contributing to Democrats by banning their political opponents? In my opinion, the answer is yes. But this is a question being asked by a group pertaining to Laura Loomer. See, Twitter recently announced they will maintain the ban on Laura Loomer, even though she is now the Republican nominee to Florida's 21st district. And in my opinion, I believe she has a good chance of winning. But if they maintain this ban, the argument goes that they're providing a telecom service that can reach a wide audience only to her opponent in Congress, in which case that's kind of like an in-kind contribution. Now, interestingly, according to the story from Mediaite, Democrats have actually tried to get FEC regulations applied to social media, but Republicans are the ones who oppose this. If that's the case, well, then Republicans are making a big mistake. But let's just read the story. And I actually have the letter that was written by the American Principles Project that lays out their case and asks several questions. Mediaite says, a Washington, D.C. nonprofit group asked the Federal Election Commission, missing a word, on Thursday to determine whether Twitter and other tech companies are making a contribution to political candidates when they allow them to use their services while banning their political opponents. In a letter addressed to the commission, the American Principles Project Government Affairs Director John Schwepp asked the commission to issue a ruling with respect to Laura Loomer, who on Tuesday won a primary election to become the Republican Party House candidate in Florida's 21st congressional district. Loomer has been banned from a series of platforms over anti-Muslim comments and other various offenses. Loomer has called herself a proud Islamophobe, and she's called Muslims savages and pushed the conspiracy theory that the Las Vegas shooting was tied to ISIS. She was banned from Uber after she complained about her inability to find a non-Muslim driver. Due to past controversial comments she has made, Loomer has been banned from using the services of a number of tech companies and platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Uber, Lyft, PayPal, Venmo, and Medium, among others. Under normal circumstances, it would arguably be well within the company's rights to take this action, he added. But given that Loomer is now a major party nominee for U.S. Congress, a reassessment may be warranted. Schwepp asked Democratic FEC Commissioners Stephen Walther and Ellen Weintraub and Republican Commissioner James Traynor to say whether any of those companies had been listed on Democratic incumbent Rep. Lois Frankel's campaign filings as having provided an in-kind contribution related to those services they provide. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram would appear to pay all costs associated with hosting and distribution on their platforms of election-related materials provided to Frankel, Schwepp argued. Does this practice violate campaign finance law? This is an absolutely amazing argument. Think about it. If you want to reach potentially 300 million people, how would you do that on TV? The ad buy would be insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, you can buy in a local market, but let's say you want national coverage. You want to make sure that your message can be received across the country. You're going to need to do a network ad buy. Maybe you can try CNN or Fox, who do reach a national audience, or you can go to one of these, affiliates. I mean, you're going to have to go to CBS or one of these big companies and have that ad appear on all these other affiliate channels. And that can be remarkably expensive. Not substantially more expensive than normal, but still remarkably expensive. Twitter grants you that access. Facebook does as well. If they are going to say that we can ban certain individuals from receiving this in-kind contribution, as it's being argued, then that's a ton of money. That could be millions of dollars. In which case, the best thing they could do is just make sure Laura Loomer has equal access. Democrats on the commission have voted unsuccessfully in the past to apply FEC rules to candidates' social media accounts, including Twitter. Those votes failed, with Republicans voting against taking such action. It may take some time before the commission responds to the latest inquiry. The commission requires 4 votes to issue an advisory opinion, but 3 of its 6 seats are presently vacant. The president must appoint, and the Senate must confirm any new commissioners. Schwepp asked the commission to issue a broad-based ruling in response to his request, writing, more generally, is it the opinion of the FEC that social media companies may agree to materially contribute to political campaigns by freely distributing campaign-related messages and advertisements for some political candidates while categorically refusing to do the same for others? It's not just about that they'll distribute this like normal. It's that Laura Loomer is actually banned from the entire platform, meaning, it's my understanding, she can't run ads either. Laura Loomer isn't able to actually set up an advertisement account and then just pay for ads the way, say, AT&T would do it with promoted tweets. She's banned from the platform. So not only will they not give her any basic service they give to regular Americans, they won't even let her pay for it. That may be a step over the line. Now, my understanding is that there's like an equal time rule. You know, if Saturday Night Live is going to put someone on, they have to offer the same thing to someone else. And I think that should absolutely be applied. It should not be up to these big tech oligarchs to determine who is or isn't allowed to run for office and have access to all of these different people who use the service. Twitter is a platform, and many people liken it to, say, a telephone. The only difference is that when you put out a message, people can choose to pick up the call and hear what you had to say, as opposed to you calling one person, in which case I think it is absolutely an in-kind contribution. But here's the full letter, and I want to read it for you. They say, I'll skip over the parts we already read. I am writing today to express concern about a potential violation of campaign finance law by major tech companies in the U.S. House race for Florida's 21st congressional district. He goes on to mention that Laura Loomer won, and then mentions that due to past controversial comments, she was banned. Then he says, but given that Laura Loomer is now a major party nominee, a reassessment may be warranted. Can these tech companies legally grant a material benefit to one political candidate, but not another? Can they deny one political candidate access to their services and platforms while granting full access to another? Does this not amount to an in-kind contribution to the favored candidate? I respectfully ask the FEC investigate these concerns and answer the following questions, both with regard to the specific race and to the FEC's broad application of campaign finance law in future races. Now, one of the reasons this may be really interesting is that if the FEC agrees it is an in-kind contribution, then what happens when, say, the American Communist Party or the American Nazi Party wants equal access as well? It doesn't matter if the party is major. And Twitter has banned extremist political parties. And that would mean that if you want to get around their hate speech rules, you need only declare yourself a candidate. Not like you'd win, but it won't matter. If you're a candidate and they give access to one, they must give access to all. Here's what they ask. Have any of the companies named above been listed on Lois Frankel's FEC filings? This I did read earlier. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram would appear to pay all costs associated with hosting and distribution on their platform of election-related materials created by the campaign. They refuse to provide the same service for her opponent. Does this practice violate campaign finance law? More generally, is it the opinion of the FEC that social media companies may agree to materially contribute to political campaigns by freely distributing campaign-related messages? For some, but I did read this, for some, but not others. Thank you for your consideration of this matter. Your swift response is appreciated given the proximity of the November election. Sincerely, John Schwepp, Director of Policy and Government Affairs, American Principles Project. Well, good on John Schwepp. I think it's about time we get an answer. I am no fan. As I stated this, if you watched the old Rogan podcast I did now over a year and a half ago, where I challenged Jack Dorsey and Vijay Gadde of Twitter, I said, what gives you the right to determine what opinions are allowed to be heard in this country? Laura Loomer is an American citizen. She has constitutional rights. She has a right to speak her mind. And I don't like the things she says. I'm critical of them, but I will absolutely defend her right to say them, especially when it comes to the big tech trying to shut her down. I do think that Laura Loomer is not someone you mess with because she has proven herself capable and willing to go as far as she needs to win. And she seems to be winning. Now we're seeing these big tech companies try and maintain their ability to shut her down. And now they may upend their entire platforms. And you know what? It will be glorious. All of these rules they put in place, applying a global standard to an American citizen. Why is it the right of someone in Germany to use an American platform to spread their political message, but an American citizen running for Congress cannot? That is offensive to me. Think about this on Reddit. When you go to r/politics and you see nothing but hatred for Donald Trump, those are the opinions of people in Australia, France, England, etc. I don't care about their opinions. They're on American platforms and they are swinging and manipulating American culture, but American citizens are getting banned from these platforms. I will not stand for it. It is offensive to me. So I would like to see an answer and I would like to see legislation. And for all the things Laura Loomer has said that I am critical of and not a fan of, I absolutely look forward to her kicking the door in and getting some legislation through that defends the rights of American citizens, no matter how awful their opinion. We have free speech in this country. I will not sit by and just accept that big tech oligopolies can allow foreigners, people who are not involved in our election, to post their opinions, swaying the opinions of American citizens, while our own citizens, including Laura Loomer, do not have that right. That, to me, is greatly offensive. This election will be heavily influenced, absolutely is being influenced by social media. The Democrats said it all day and night that the Russians were influencing our election. So how can we sit here knowing that even today they say that Russia, China, and Iran are trying to influence our election, and you would deny an American, a political party candidate, I don't care if it's a major party or not, the right to speak their mind on that same platform? Sorry. By all means, you want to be critical of any politician, be it Donald Trump, be it Lois Frankel, be it Laura Loomer. I welcome all political debate. But how dare you give space to non-citizens to insult and deride people like Laura Loomer and not give her the chance to defend herself and speak her opinions in America, in American elections? Right now, for every person who is not American, who is on Twitter, who is smearing and defaming Laura Loomer, you are giving foreign countries influence in our elections. Regular Americans will be swayed by these statements, and she can't even defend herself. That is unacceptable. 100%. I'll leave it there. You're going to get me mad about this stuff. I do not like big corporations selling us out to international interests. I got one more segment coming up for you in a few minutes. Stick around, and I will see you all shortly.